I want to talk about a little bit of more of a provable conspiracy. You know, there's always been that talk about fuel economy is something that is could be greatly improved, but they don't want it that improved because it would take too much profit away from the oil companies. There's no real incentive to conserve. They want to sell, 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 and they want the stuff to be short supply. They want to raise the price as high as possible. And it's like a major hidden tax. It's a racket. It's a racket. You're forced to buy it. Everybody needs transportation. Everybody needs home heating oil and that type of stuff. So I just want to point this out. This is an interesting one because this is Volkswagen Lupo, right? And I'm going to go on a couple other things, though. This was produced from 1998 to 2005. And if you look down ways, you know, we have all these high-tech hybrid vehicles with batteries and electronics. They had the bottom line one was a 1.2 liter 3-cylinder diesel with a turbocharger, and it used some lightweight aluminum and magnesium alloys. They even produced one that was a little more high tech than that. It's called the Concept, but not a hybrid vehicle, strictly running off of diesel, and it got 235 miles per U.S. gallon, or 1 liter of fuel per 100 kilometers. So the thing has already been around. This has been proven technology. This is stuff 10 years ago. Now, I know you can get into General Motors about them having an electric vehicle way before, and they did. You know, it was killed by oil companies, I would say. That's what's really going on. This is not bullshit because this vehicle actually existed, and they say the market wasn't there. The market wasn't there in America, and they wouldn't sell it to America. Actually, there's actually versions of Volkswagens out there they'll sell in the UK that get far better mileage than anything sold in the United States, and it's still emission compliant. So there is a conspiracy going on. They want to sell people oil, they want to sell them gasoline, and much more efficient methods of doing things are not encouraged. You know, it's a big game. Only when it's going to be a complex hybrid vehicle costing $50,000 will. And you know, you're looking at the Prius today, it's like 50 miles per gallon. This was getting 4 times that. 4 times that. Without using hybrid batteries and all this other bullshit. Now, I'm going to go back to something else because I think this is going to come up here pretty soon. We have a spike in oil due to a conflict in the Middle East at some point. We're going to see this happen. And, $8 a gallon for gasoline and stuff. But this is another thing out here. General Motors streetcar conspiracy. You know, they say, and this is off of Wikipedia. Both these articles are off of Wikipedia. But streetcars are very popular in the 1920s and 1930s. And in between 1936 and 50, National City Lines and Pacific City Lines, with investment from General Motors, Firestone Tire, Standard Oil, Rockefeller's company, Phillips Petroleum, Mack Trucks, Federal Engineering, FEC, actually see that in the parts business in automotive, bought over 100 electric surface traction systems in 45 cities and converted them into bus operations. In other words, buses that would be sold by General Motors and would use Standard Oil's products, to burn and fuel. So the cheap electric vehicles that were mass produced, that were all over our streets, because nobody remembers this stuff. This is from the 20s now, 1920s. And, here they are piled up in this picture in a junkyard in Los Angeles, California County in California, March 1956. They took all these clean vehicles off of our streets, they used electricity. Quiet, efficient, mass transportation. So who took them off? It was General Motors, and they say it's not a conspiracy, but it was also partly the government. But then again, who's the hidden hand behind the government? A lot of times it's corporations and big money people. So this was like a true conspiracy, but more or less something you could pretty much prove, because this idea is much, much better than the crap that's going on today. It's soot and pollution and diesel and all this stuff blowing out from buses. These were clean, efficient, quiet. And they were perfect. They were just bought up by these General Motors, Firestone, and Standard Oil, and Phillips Petroleum, Mack Trucks, and they replaced them with diesel and gas guzzlers and stuff. So that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to sell them vehicles to the cities and get it into the market, destroy the other market. The same thing with Volkswagen too. I mean, now Volkswagen, this is a diesel, so diesel is much more efficient than regular gasoline. Now, one thing that diesel comes from is where originally was supposed to come from was hemp oil. That's what Rudolph Diesel actually wanted to do. And this is a picture of hemp being used as a bikini picture, right? But just for a talking point, the hemp actually was supposed to be where you would get all the fuel for diesel engines. So here you have the Volkswagen Lupo out there getting over 235 miles per gallon, or 1 liter would be good for 100 kilometers. It was using diesel, which could be hemp oil, which is like super low pollutants, and readily abundant and available because hemp grows like very fast, 12 to 15 feet high inside of 4 months. You can have 3 crops a year. Hardly any pesticides, if any, no herbicides, so there's no runoff or pollution into the water. It can be used for clothes and food and everything like that. Even hemp food, the protein has a specific type of protein that helps repair DNA. So it works very well with longevity. But this would have been the fuel that would have been sipping in the Volkswagen Lugo, which has been out for over 10 years ago and stopped production. These guys are bullshit. These guys are really bullshit all the way. There is a conspiracy, and you can see it right on the surface. There's no market for cars getting that kind of efficiency. Oh, bullshit. You got the high complex hybrid vehicle cars, and you can have a simple 3-cylinder turbo diesel with no electricity, with batteries and all this other garbage, and complex systems where you have to switch from one system to the other. None of this garbage, unless problems with safety concerns, because diesel doesn't catch on fire like fuel like gasoline does, and also these batteries in these cars. If there's ever a car fire, that's basically a bomb. Those batteries, no matter how they're encased, if they catch on fire, fuel. You think fuel, gasoline is something that would be highly flammable. It is the batteries themselves. So fuel, diesel coming from hemp, like she's wearing the hemp plant here, would be 100 times safer, 100 times more abundant. As you mine the fuel, which you'd be growing it instead of mining it, there would be clean air. And the honest fact is, there is a major conspiracy going on. We got a racket on the top. And, this even goes along with the gun control garbage, too. Because these people on the top are control freaks, and they want to control everybody and extract as much out of them as possible and manage people just like a resource. Just like a machine would do, exactly like that. No feeling, nothing. The people aren't humans. They're just to be used as cattle. And that's exactly how people are being played. But, I just wanted to put out here a little bit more of a provable conspiracy type thing. Because, I could talk about Stanley Meyer's water car. And I know the car was stolen. It wasn't really water. It was hydrogen that came from the water through a special electrolysis process. But the car was stolen after he died, which tells you something. Somebody wanted to hide something. There's a lot of devices out there. But, this is more or less provable because here you got Volkswagen, major, the biggest part, they got the big share of the European market. They're producing these in Europe. And, they're no longer producing, they never really produced them for the United States. That would have been a major market over here, definitely. And, people, like I always recommend, with the motorcycle, but here, this vehicle, motorcycle might get 50 miles to the gallon. If you're using a really tiny motorcycle, 100 miles to the gallon. This is getting over twice the fuel, and you don't have to worry about the rain and the snow and the cold weather and all that other garbage. So, and you can carry more than one person and luggage. So, it gives you the practicality of a vehicle, and it is a very low cost because it doesn't have all the garbage of a hybrid. So why aren't they producing these? Why did they take streetcars off, the electric streetcars off the streets in cities? It really is a conspiracy. There's no bullshit about this. And Wikipedia doesn't go into it and call it a conspiracy per se. It says it was government interference and stuff. But I also read that government interference is also at the behest of special interests, and they'll come up with rules. As a matter of fact, if you look at the Commerce Act, the Interstate Commerce Act that was passed in the 1800s, that was basically at the behest of the large railroads. to stifle competition. So, that's one of our problems. We always have an ongoing problem with, there always are conspiracies, and always the big money are the shrewdest of the shrewd. That's why they got the bucks in the first place. But, if we have an upcoming fuel crisis due to a war with Iran, the technology's been available all the time. It's simple. It's not complex technology. It's just going smaller and lighter and going with diesel fuel that could be made from hemp, growing hemp. And hemp is not marijuana. No matter what you say about that, hemp is not marijuana. It can be used as clothes and everything else. Our fuel system, our fuel crisis, which may be coming up, has already been solved. The problem is it's not solved, is we definitely do have a conspiracy. There's no doubt about it. That, I'll use that word and throw it around here left and right, but that's exactly what it is, and I want to put something out there that's a little bit more of a provable conspiracy. And just the fact that hemp is stifled from being grown in this country, although it's not a drug in any way. Hemp, industrial hemp, is not a drug in any way. It's not marijuana at all. It's related to the plant, but it's got no THC in it. So that's one thing. You could say, why do we stifle that plant when it could be such a boon to the economy? It's so useful to so many people for food, clothing, and fuel. And then we have Volkswagen Corporation, who basically designed something better than the Toyota Prius 10 years ago that got much, much better mileage and didn't require any kind of electricity. Just you can use, and also can run on hemp oil, diesel fuel, hemp oil. And also we have the old conspiracy from the streetcars, the electric streetcars. The electric streetcars were around all during the 20s. Great technology, clean, efficient, quiet, and it stopped it. General Motors bought them up, Firestone bought them up, Standard Oil bought them up, Phillips Petroleum bought them up. They wanted them out of business. They wanted to sell oil, they wanted to sell gasoline, they wanted to sell them trucks, and Mack Trucks bought them up. They want to sell them vehicles like mass transportation vehicles, not trucks, but to be coming from the same industry. So they put them out of business. That's conspiracy. Where's the public? I don't know. I guess the public, there was a Great Depression going on in the 30s, and then you had World War II. So, even though you had a few people out there, there was so many other things going on that kept people off balance that they couldn't fight back. And this is probably the same method that's going to happen in the future. So always fight back as hard as you can, whenever you can. And, give them hell all the time. That's all I got to say.